Callum Smith knocks out Mathieu Bauderlique in the fourth round in his second fight at light heavyweight. Now, Bauderlique was very game. He was quite fast as well, a southpaw, and he had moments of success in this fight. He even managed to back Callum Smith up in certain spots after landing good shots. And I'm going to assume that because Smith is a slower, less athletic fighter than Bauderlique, he may have felt as though Smith wouldn't be as dangerous if you do back him up. Well, that was the biggest mistake that he made in the fight because Callum Smith has always been a guy that is good with the counters. He's nice with counters. And he landed a catch and shoot left hand in the fourth round. It was a competitive fight up to that point. I felt like Callum Smith was getting the better of it, but it was competitive. And Bauderlique, as I say, got a little too brave, thinking that he had Callum Smith right where he wanted him, particularly this early in the fight. It's only the fourth round. And you're pushing the bigger, and when I say bigger, Bauderlique is a career light heavyweight. All right. He has never fought below 175 pounds, as you can see here. But he looks small in there next to Callum Smith, right? That's how big Callum Smith is. And you wonder whether it was wise. You question the wisdom of Callum Smith having fought at 168 his whole career up until this point. Would he have been better had he fought at 175 from the beginning? Maybe he was looking at 175 or his team was, and they felt as though the competition up there was too stiff for him to fight there. Who knows? But it kind of reminds me of fellow Scouser. You know, Callum Smith is a Scouser. His fellow Scouser, Tony Bellew, because he fought at 175. And in retrospect, most people would argue that that was a mistake, that he should have been fighting at cruiserweight since the beginning. Now, Callum Smith is not as physically big. He's a similar kind of height to Tony Bellew, but he's not as thick set as Bellew. So I'm not saying he needs to be a cruiserweight, but maybe he should have been a light heavyweight all along. Possibly, you know, so I'll put a question mark on the end of that. Anyway, Bauderlique got aggressive, pushed Callum Smith back to the ropes, thought he had him where he wanted him. But Callum Smith, and again, thinking that because he's fighting a guy in Smith who isn't as fast or athletic as he is, he's thinking, okay, he's not going to have much on the back foot. Big mistake. Smith hits him with the catch and shoot left hand. Bauderlique goes down. Now he gets up quick. He appears to be relatively okay. He's got his faculties about him. He's looking at his corner. But Smith was on him like white on rice. When Bauderlique got to his feet, Smith knew that he could hurt this guy at this point, and he went in there to close the show, and he did so in impressive fashion. Isn't this what we want to see from fighters? When they get a guy hurt, they don't let them off the hook, they don't let them recover, they go in there and they finish the job, particularly when they're not fighting somebody who's a big puncher, because Bauderlique, not known for having devastating knockout power. If you're in there against a big puncher who maybe has caught a few people coming in when they've tried to finish him before, then you're going to be a bit more circumspect. But against a guy like Bauderlique, you want to see Callum Smith going in there and getting him out of there once he's hurt him. And that's exactly what he did. He put his shots together, and the final sequence was Smith digging to the body, and that's something his trainer, Buddy McGirt, had been telling him, dig into the body, and then he came back with a tremendous left hook, which ended the fight, completely crumpled Mathieu Bauderlique on the bottom rope. Shades of Dylan White against Anthony Joshua. That's how badly he got crumpled. And the fight was over. So good performance by Callum Smith overall. Yeah, he got caught here and there. He's going to get caught here and there. Do you know what I mean? He's not the fastest guy in the world. He's a very big target. There were improvements there in terms of him working on upper body movement and not standing so straight up. But he's never going to be the most fluid guy in the division. He is what he is. Buddy McGirt can make little tweaks here and there and improvements here and there, but he's not going to change him completely. Nonetheless, I think Callum Smith is an interesting addition to the 175-pound edition. He's got, division. He's got some nice counter-punching skills there. His power seems to have carried up to 175. We have to see what his power's like against the top guys, because Bauderlique has been knocked out before. I think he got knocked out in 1 round in his only other loss. So, yeah, we need to see Callum Smith in there against somebody who's top 10, top 5, maybe Joe Smith Jr. at this stage. I think this fight was actually an eliminator, so Smith, as far as I'm aware, is actually going to fight or be in line to fight for the title next. But I would like to see him maybe, I know he's experienced already and he's fought Canelo and this and that, but this is light heavyweight. It is a bit different. I'd like to see him maybe fight somebody like a Joe Smith. You know, it'd be a bit awkward for the commentators saying Smith rather than, who they say, Smith or Smith, when somebody lands a punch. I guess they have to say their full names or just call them by their first names, Callum and Joe. So maybe somebody like that before stepping up and fighting for the title. It's not shocking, it's not absolutely vital that he fights a Joe Smith before fighting for the title, because he is very experienced. He's a former world champion. But stepping into a new division, personally, just to be extra sure, I would like to see something like that first. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below about Callum Smith's performance. Were you impressed? Maybe you weren't impressed. Maybe you didn't like the way the smaller guy was backing him up and was able to land certain punches on him. Maybe you think he needs a lot more work before stepping in there against the Dmitry Bivol or an Artur Beterbiev. I'm sure most of us would be picking Beterbiev quite strongly over Callum Smith at this stage, but Beterbiev is pushing, 38 or something now? He's getting up there in age. He can't go on forever. He is going to start showing cracks eventually. And sometimes it's the guys that you least expect who end up pulling off the upset against one of these great champions. It happens. I mean, look at Sergey Kovalev, right? Yeah, he lost to Andre Ward. Very few people thought he would lose to Alida Alvarez. These things can happen out of the blue. So we'll see where Callum Smith goes. As I say, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. How you think he would fare against either Bivol or Beterbiev. Whether you think he's ready for them. How much of a test he can give either of them. And can he do the unthinkable in the minds of some people and actually win? Let me know. If you're tired of the biased narratives and mass censorship on mainstream platforms, and you want to be part of a community of critical thinkers who love free speech just as much as you do, then come and join me on Patreon and access my weekly no-holds-barred, censorship-free podcast where we lift the lid on a wide variety of controversial topics. It's not mainstream friendly, it's not politically correct, but that's the whole point. We dare to stand as a beacon of reason against an army of insanity. Just head on over to my Patreon page and select the tier called Hatman Hot Topics. You'll gain access to a minimum of 2 hours of exclusive content every single week, including podcasts, videos, interviews, live stream Q&As, as well as my popular Confessions of a Nightclub Bouncer series. Not to mention a vast back catalog of hundreds of hours of previous episodes. You can listen via the Patreon app with the option to download in high-quality MP3. We've also got an Element group where you can come and chat and hang out with myself and other members. Unlike Discord, it has full end-to-end encryption, it's decentralized, and it's 100% censorship-free. You can also send voice notes as well as much larger audio and video files than you can on Discord. So come and sign up on Patreon. There's no contract, there's no commitment, you can cancel at any time, and it's cheaper than a cup of coffee. So I'll see you over there. I'm out.